Okay, I've decided to make a very simple video. You can consider it a public service announcement. Apparently, there's a number of YouTubers who found themselves at odds with the police, the boys in blue, and have found themselves unfairly persecuted and in many cases incarcerated for doing simple things such as street racing, exhibition of speed, not having a front license plate, having tinted windows, having uneven sized mirrors on their car, having exhaust systems that are too loud, so forth and so on. And I just felt it in me that I just felt I had to respond. I had no choice, and I wanted to make a video to talk about a couple of things that you can do as not only a YouTuber, but as an exhibitionist who may decide that you're going to go to one of these car meets and you may decide to join in. And this video is basically about some of the things that you personally can do to avoid ending up in jail. Because I think a lot of you need this level of talk because, in some cases you don't have parents to tell you these things. And I know a lot of you are young, you're getting, new licenses to drive, and you're also getting, your insurance for the first time. And I'm just thinking that there's a lot of you who just need this little explanation of things that you can commonly do to avoid ending up in jail, especially as a YouTuber, because the thing about it is you don't want to end up in jail as a YouTuber. The booty house is no place for you to go. It's the place that you absolutely want to avoid at all costs, and that's the reason why I'm making this video, because you don't want to end up in jail. Okay, radar detectors. Depending upon what state you're in, radar detectors are actually, in most cases, prohibited, and in some cases, illegal. When I was a kid, I actually was in the car with an uncle who got stopped by, I think it was Georgia State Police, who had a radar detector and were able to detect the fact that he was using a radar detector, and therefore they pulled him over and they called him on the fact that he had a radar detector. Now, fortunately, he didn't get ticketed or anything like that, but the thing about it is these states are bullshit. They have laws against everything. So if you have anything in your windshield that could possibly, quote unquote, obscure your view, they absolutely have the authority to tell you that you're not allowed to have it. And now you can get a little bit sneaky and you can have a 360-degree radar detector installed in your car, just like one of my friends who has a Trackhawk, who had it installed in very discreet places where nobody'd ever be able to see it. And then he had one of the readout sensors in his cigarette lighter cubby. But the thing about it is, they can still detect the fact that you're using these things, and they still can pull you over. And by law, they can still give you tickets, summonses. In some cases, they can even arrest you. As far as they're concerned, they're using all this stuff to catch your ass speeding, and you're using something to avoid being caught speeding. But the problem is you're driving through their state, so they've pretty much got you cold, and there's nothing you can do about it. So you should probably avoid using radar detectors. Loud exhausts. Now, I know everybody thinks this shit is really cool when you buy that fart can to put on your Honda or your Nissan because you think it's cool and you think that that pathetic little four-cylinder or that V6 is going to sound awesome, and all you got to do is throw on some ridiculous exhaust system so that you can make it sound like elephant farts in Bangkok, Thailand. But the reality of the situation is not only is that prohibited, but it's also illegal in most places, and it will get you a ticket, it will get you a summons, and it possibly could even get your car impounded. And if you try to fight back, most likely you'll end up in jail. Because one of the main things you have to remember is the states basically have laws against everything when it comes to modifying cars. They don't want you having certain tires, i.e. drag radials. They have laws against certain size wheels. They've got laws against certain paint colors. They've got laws about driving while black. So basically, you can make it easier on yourself by not doing things to attract the police attention. If you start up a car every morning in a neighborhood and somebody decides that, hey, this fucking guy keeps waking me up with his bullshit, cheap-ass S550 that's not even a new one, and he put this bullshit exhaust system in it so it sounds like it's louder than it's supposed to be. And then he put fake AMG badges on his car, and you know goddamn well that's not an AMG, but you're waking me up every morning with this shitty-ass, old-ass used car, and then you got all this bullshit on it trying to make it look like an AMG, and it's not. And you keep on waking us up. Well, guess what? Sooner or later, I'm going to call the cops. I'm going to have the cops sit there and wait for you to start that engine in the morning, and then you're going to get a big ticket for a loud exhaust. Now, if you live in a city like I do, like New York City, most likely just driving down the block is enough to get you pulled over by some cops who are going to say something about your exhaust. So the thing about it is, when you're disconnecting your mufflers and your catalytic converters and all that shit, keep in mind, yeah, you can be brought into court for that. So the best thing to do is not to do it. These cars are quiet for a reason. It's because these things would be loud otherwise. And if you're buying an expensive car or you're buying a good sports car like SRTs that have the opening up baffles, the electronic baffles, when you're at high speed at sport mode, they actually do that themselves. They open up the baffles and this, that, and other. But if you start modifying this car yourself, chances are you're going to end up in trouble sooner or later. Now, you might get pulled over for something totally opposite the muffler. It might have nothing to do with it. You might get pulled over for tinted windows and the cop says, you know what, your muffler sounds too loud. Let me give you a second ticket. Don't say it won't happen, because I've seen it happen to people. I've seen it happen a number of times. It's never happened to me because I refuse to modify my car. As far as I'm concerned, modifying cars leads to things like unforeseen consequences. Like, you never know, a car could burst into flames and shit. I don't need any of that happening with my daily drivers. So let's just keep it simple. Don't do it. Especially you guys with these shitty 4-cylinder cars and these shitty V6s who are trying to make them sound louder when you know they're not. Just please don't do it. People are quick to insult men who buy assault rifles and who buy military-grade, firearms, and they say that they have penis envy. But I can't think of anything that screams penis envy more than taking one of these, regular sized trucks like an F-150 or Ram trucks and jacking these fucking things up on gigantic fucking wheels and making it so that they have like a 6-foot ground clearance. It's ridiculous. And the thing about it is, it also happens to be against most state ordinances. So if you're doing something like that, you probably should stop. And the reason why is because sooner or later, the cops might decide to just pick on you and use the laws at hand to give you a number of tickets or summonses, or to just impound your car, claiming that your car is unsafe because it would override the bumpers on other cars. There's no crash compatibility. You got to understand, they've got laws on the books already. They've got ordinances for this stuff. And aside from the fact that it looks ridiculous and it kind of looks like you're going to tip over on somebody when you're driving around corners, the simple fact is it's not legal. So just please don't do it. Just don't do it. And in that exact same vein, I should also call out lowriders, which are the exact opposite of the high riders. What are you trying to do? Pick strawberries? Look, it kind of, in some regards, is cool. If you have an air suspension, yeah, it kind of is cool. If you go to a car show, it kind of looks cool. But the thing about it is you can't drive around like that on a regular city street. Sooner or later, the cops are going to pull you over and they are going to give you a summons or a ticket. And God forbid you have any warrants or anything on you, yes, you will get hauled your ass off to jail. Underbody neons. So listen, guys, that whole Fast and Furious shit, that's all over. And the thing about it is, it was a phase. It was a ridiculous phase while it lasted. And I know a lot of us are actually guilty of this, because I myself had bought some of these damn things and put them under a SUV before. And then I realized, what the hell have I done? It's like I wasted $400. But the thing about it is, they have some state laws that ban flashing, rotating blue and red lights and stuff, and they ban spotlights. And the thing about it is, you absolutely can end up getting tickets for that. And if, if your car is not perfect with the law at the time, they can do other things. They can impound the car. And in that same breath, I should also call out people who modify their front and tail lights. The simple fact of the matter is, if your lights do not fit Department of Transportation regulations, yeah, your car can be impounded. You're not allowed to have any color on the front of your car except for white and yellow for turning signals. While you're driving, if you do happen to have neon lights and strobe lights and all that shit, keep it turned off, because if you turn that stuff on while you're driving down the street, oh yeah, you might get a couple of chicks to look at you, but guess what? I'm fairly certain there's a cop looking at you too, and I've seen it happen. You will get pulled over. You will get your car taken from you. If you can't simply turn it off, the cop will probably just give you a fix it and forget ticket. The problem is, if it's something that is, stays on, you just might get your car impounded, so please don't do it. And then I should mention these people who remove their emissions equipment. Those catalytic converters and all that stuff that they've got under your car, that stuff is there for a reason. It's all built into these laws that say that you can't put certain amounts of CO2 and nitrous oxide and shit into the atmosphere for the rest of us to choke on. You take that stuff off your car, and I guarantee you that sooner or later, the cops are going to find out about it. And either you might get your car impounded, or you're going to end up with a ticket. And depending upon the severity of your tickets, they might haul your ass off to jail. Now, the reality is, it's like taking this stuff off really doesn't make your car sound any better. In fact, in most cases, it makes it sound worse, because you get these large drones that you can't get rid of. If you don't have like a V8 engine, you're never going to achieve the type of vibration and low frequency noise that you want to achieve in the car, because you got that shitty 4-cylinder and a crappy 6-cylinder. So leave those things on your car. Don't take them off. Save the planet, save a tree, whatever. And, if you get caught with them off, you're going to have more problems than it's worth. And furthermore, you're not even going to be able to pass emissions inspections, which means that you're going to probably do what you can to try to get somebody to give you the sticker illegally by paying them off. And I know people who do that. And the simple fact is, when you do get caught, they might just take your car and chop it up, because they do that. They'll take your car and they'll actually destroy a car if it's not something that's an easy fix to repair it and to put it back into, DOT regulation. So it's probably better if you just don't do it. Just accept the fact that you got a shitty Prius and that it doesn't make any noise. And speaking of taking the emissions controls off your car, this rolling coal bullshit really needs to stop. I mean, it doesn't look cool. It really looks stupid. And on top of that, it's basically, somebody putting their middle finger up and saying, you know what, not only am I going to ride around in this jacked up, high off the ground, silly looking truck, but on top of that, I'm going to do my best to pollute the world and make everybody else sick. It's one of the most obnoxious things I've ever seen. And to tell you the truth, when the cops pull your ass over because they see you, quote unquote, rolling coal, and you've got that shitty diesel truck that's spitting out so much CO2 until the globe is getting warmer while you're driving around, when the cops finally decide to take your truck from you and put you in the back of their squad car, just understand that you deserved it. I don't think I need to say anything about having extremely dark tints on your car. States, for the most part, already have laws against that, too. Apparently, police want to be able to claim that they see you doing something wrong in the car so that they have reasonable reasons to pull you over. So the last thing they want is for that lie to fall through in court. So basically, they demand that you have regular factory glass so that they can see into your car. So, yeah, you just can't have it. I'm sorry. I mean, I know you want your car to look cool, and I know you want your car to look hot and nice and everything and be attractive and everything. But the simple fact is there's already laws against this. So don't do it. And if you do it because you think, oh, yeah, big truck series, you don't know shit, I'm going to do whatever I feel like doing just because I want to do it. Yeah, well, guess what? When the cops do pull you over, they're going to give you one ticket for each window. They'll give you $100 for the front window, $100 for the side windows, each of them, and then another $100 for the other side windows, and then one for the back. So in total, you'll have 6 tickets totaling $600. And when you go to court, it'll be a fix it and forget, possibly, because they may not even let you do that depending upon what state you're in. And as long as you prove that you've taken off all the tints, they might let you get away. But the simple fact is you'll have wasted all that money at your window shop getting these tints. Then you'll have a $600 bill on your head, and now you'll have to waste even more money removing the tint. Does that make sense? The answer is no, it doesn't. License plate frames. Well, if they in any way block the numbers on your license plate, obviously you're not allowed to have them. And I know they look cool. I know they look attractive and sexy and everything, but simple fact of the matter is you can't have them. And if you do decide that you want to have it because you think that nobody can tell you anything because you're a grown man and everything, well, guess what? Then you'll be in court trying to defend tickets that you get from the cops. I'm telling you, they've got laws against everything. Nitrous oxide. I can't think of anything else that sends a warning into my mind that says, if you use this, your car is someday going to burst into flames, than nitrous oxide. Just because you've got one of those shitty V6 engines from Nissan Maxima, or just because you got one of them slow-ass 4 cylinders and one of those silly-ass Honda Civics that now those things are so goddamn ugly they look like spaceships from Predator 2. Don't think for a second that you could put this shit in your car and that sooner or later either your car is not going to explode or the cops aren't going to get you for having nitrous. They take mirrors and they run them along the underside of your car checking for nitrous lines because, especially if you hang with a lot of street racers, they're going to assume that you've tuned this thing up. If they see that shit in your car, oh yeah, you can guarantee you're going to be in trouble. In fact, they'll take those cars and they'll have them dismantled for having stuff like that in those cars. I understand you saw Fast and Furious 8. I know, what was it called? The Fate of the Furious. That movie was stupid. And I know it looked really cool when Vin Diesel pulls a lever and all of a sudden he's doing 305 miles an hour. But the reality is that shit is highly illegal. And if you drive into certain areas, they might even label you a terrorist depending upon what skin color you are. And they might say, yeah, he's got a bomb in his fucking trunk. And next thing you know, you got cops in Times Square pointing AR-15s at your head waiting for you to make a move, Jamal. So anyway, don't do it. And, you know, I'm trying to help. I'm trying to warn you. Just don't do it. Now, if you did buy a Honda Civic or you did buy a Nissan anything or you did buy one of them shitty-ass Toyotas, just understand, your car's never going to be any faster. And I know a lot of you guys come on my channel, you try to troll me. Like, yeah, your Jeep is slow. That Hellcat is slow. I can run 9s and 8s with my Honda Civic. When we get you on the drag strip and we see how slow your piece of shit really is, all the nitrous oxide tanks in the world ain't gonna help you. And then I'd say the most important thing to remember, don't allow yourself to end up video recorded committing crimes. Keep in mind that nowadays with these car events, every single last person with a YouTube or Instagram or Snapchat is doing whatever they can to try and figure out how they can possibly get at that YouTube money or trying to figure out how they can get more subscribers. And everybody at this point is showing up to every single event with their camera phones out. They're recording virtually everything. Your car can be sitting still and it's being recorded. Your car can be recorded when it's totally out of code, even if it has illegal modifications on it. The problem at this point is social media has given the police and the FBI all of the possible evidence they could ever hope to have, because at this point, all they have to do is troll the channels, and they literally have access to every single video that we see. So that means that even if you yourself aren't recording yourself doing something illegal, i.e. driving really fast in quote-unquote Mexico, keep in mind that somebody else more than likely is. And if they are recording you, all of that is submissible as evidence against you in a court of law, and you can be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. So just keep in mind, all of these videos are evidence. evidence that can be used against you. Now, I understand that there are statute of limitations. So if you go to Tokyo and you do that Tokyo drift bullshit over in Tokyo and then you quickly get on a plane, come back here, they may not be able to extradite you as long as you haven't committed any felonies or anything. Yeah, okay, there's all types of loopholes and everything. But what I'm telling you is that if you're going to be stupid enough to have your friend in a car and he's recording you committing crimes while you're driving, it's like more than likely sooner or later that's going to come back. Yeah, and when it comes back, it can be the cops just sitting around in their office, have nothing to do. He's like, hey, you know what, Jimmy? We got to meet our arrest quota this week. Who should we arrest? I don't know. Let's arrest that kid last week who was doing 200 miles an hour in quote-unquote Mexico in a 720S. And then they come and get you, and that's it. And there's nothing you can do because one of your friends or yourself has recorded this shit. Now, I'll tell you another thing. If you've got fucking GoPros littering the sides of your car and everything, and it's watching every single freaking angle, including the driver, yeah, that kind of doesn't help if you try to plead not guilty to a judge. It actually kind of makes it easier for you to be prosecuted. Whether you live the SRT life or the AMG life or the M life or whatever, you got to remember, we're all driving around in very high-profile vehicles. Everybody is always watching. Somebody is always taking pictures of your car. Somebody is always paying attention to them. Whether it's because your car is gigantic, like the size of an SUV, and it's the sky blue, or it's bright orange like the sun, or it's yellow like Jupiter. The simple fact of the matter is you're calling a lot of attention to yourself. So basically, like the people driving Lamborghinis and Ferraris, you really ought to do your best to be on the best side of the law, which means, you know, less speeding and less illegal mods. So that's all I really had to say. Just a friendly public service reminder to everybody out there living the SRT life that the cops are cracking down on just about everybody. There are laws already on the books to prevent people like us from having any fun. And basically, you just got to be really careful because you don't want to end up in the booty house and you also don't want your vehicle confiscated.